Hi, it's Mark Bossert from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with award-winning Vancouver wedding photographer Josh Bowie. How are you doing today, Josh?
Good, Mark. Thanks a lot.
So I guess we're talking about the big of the big. Everyone wants to have great wedding photos. So what does it take to create a great wedding photo?
Well, there's a bunch of different variables, I guess, that come into play that I'm happy to talk about today. The first one, I guess, is composition, which is just the way that a photo is framed, and that's kind of an intuitive thing as you're for the photographer, especially in a wedding when the day is just moving along. You're just making split-second decisions basically. And so there's kind of a classic composition, which I won't bore you with the details about, and then a more artistic composition, which is just breaking all the rules, essentially, of a more kind of classic shot. So I've got a few samples here that I'll try to dig up for you that'll help to explain it. Let's see here. How's that working? Are you seeing that?
Not yet. You got to share your screen.
There we go. How's that?
Good.
Yeah, so in this image here, this is, I consider this kind of a classic composition. Most amateur photographers or just kind of hobby photographers will always have their subject right in the middle of the frame. So it's nice, just a little tip for people, I guess, is to, if you pull the subject, off to the side a little bit, it adds a bit more character, a bit more feeling to it. It's nice in this image, the man here is kind of looking off into the distance, and there's a lot of white space that he's looking into, which helps just make it feel a little bit softer. It's more pleasing to the eye. So this is kind of a fairly classic composition. I think it's very timeless. It's appealing to almost everyone's taste, I would think, and just a really strong, timeless image. And then this next one here is a bit more of an artistic composition. It's breaking a lot of rules that you'd maybe normally follow. The subject is buried at the bottom of the screen. They're right in the middle of the screen. There's a ton of white space around them. They're not all that prominent in it. But it really works, for this photo. It creates a bit more of an artistic feeling. It's playful. So for the most part, a nice classic composition is great to get a strong photo. And then if you mix it up and you get creative and put in a bit more artistic flair at times, and those images just stand out that much more. So that's kind of composition. It's kind of the foundation, I guess, of having a great photo. The next thing I was going to talk about is the kind of depth of field or focus. So I don't want to get too technical on everyone, but essentially when I shoot, I want to have my subject be the center of attention and be in focus. And I like to shoot with what you call a shallow depth of field. So that means that they're going to be really in focus. You can see in this that the girl who's in the foreground is very sharp. She's very much in focus. The man being even just a head's width behind her is already not quite as in focus, and then the background is totally blurred out. And this really works because they're the center of attention. They're what I want to take a picture of, and by having them be in focus and then just blurring the background, it really draws the attention to them, which is what what I'm going for here. And I'll give you another example of a photo here. Let's see if it'll pop up for me. One sec. It's having a bit of trouble loading, but an example of another photo, that's more out of focus. Looks like yeah, it's not popping up, but you can have photos sometimes that are out of focus, and I'll intentionally make it out of focus, and it just adds a bit of an artistic flair to it. Obviously you don't want that to be the case for all of your photos by any means, but every once in a while to do that just add some creativity, some artistic flair. It gives a little bit of character to the photos. So I'll sometimes do that intentionally. And then third thing I think that's important to get a great photo is the background. I'll always pay attention to my background, whether I'm out, kind of in a natural setting, where you've got beautiful mountains and trees in the back, or, if we're walking around, if I'm walking around downtown with a couple, and we're in a more urban setting, such as this example here. I always want to pay attention to the background. So with this example, it's nice to have this vintage car in the back. You've got the steam clock. This is kind of a classic gas town scene. And just the background adds a lot of texture, color, and it's just something that I always want to focus on. In the indoor settings, I'll do that as well when I'm in, reception space. Here's an example of a first dance. Instead of standing with all the guests, and taking pictures with them of the couple, I'll pull myself to the other side so I can have them in the background. It's a lot stronger of an image to have, her family and friends in the background of the photo as opposed to some, a random wall or whatever. So these are subtleties, and they're things that you don't necessarily think of on the fly unless you've got some experience and you've just done it a lot of times. But the background is something that I'll really, really pay attention to in my photos. And the last thing I wanted to share that kind of makes a great photo, and especially for wedding photos, is the people. I put a lot of emphasis on having my couples and my clients feel relaxed, feel at ease. It's just so important. That's where the best photos come. This is an example of one here where they're just at ease with each other. They're being themselves. They're having a genuine moment that I'm able to document. And the way that I get that is just, I can't tell them to look like that or to act like that, but I can help create the environment and kind of set the stage where they can feel natural, they can feel comfortable, they can feel at ease to be themselves. So it's not something that I talk about necessarily all that much with the client. I don't want to draw a ton of attention to it, but it's something that I'm always aware of, is how they're feeling, if they're feeling comfortable. And I'm always making kind of going above and beyond to make sure that they do feel comfortable, even in subtle ways. And it's just the way that you get the best images. Here's another example of a beautiful bride just kind of sitting on a log at the beach, and as much as I can kind of put her in a nice position and pose for a little bit, I can't make her have that natural look. It's something that kind of has to come from her, but what I can do is just help to create the environment and the space so that they can have that. So that's a crucial element and something I put a lot of attention to, is having my clients feel at ease and feel comfortable.
That's awesome, Josh. So your photos just pop. I mean, it's obvious that you really have a lot of experience and expertise doing this kind of stuff. And I know from the responses that you get from your clients that that's just the case. So that's awesome. Composition, depth of field, focus, background, and getting the people or subject matter to be as relaxed as possible. Those are sort of the crucial elements to getting great, memorable wedding photos. And we've been talking with Josh Bowie from Bowie photography.ca. You can reach Josh at 604-897-7689. Again, 604-897-7689. Thanks a lot, Josh.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Thanks for having me on.